let's actually do that. That'd be fun. I'm already got hamstrings in my head is Brett Freeman. Crazy hamstrings. And maybe his glutes should take that whole rear.
Glutes and hamstrings, yeah.
Yeah, pretty decent. Let's keep your quads, keep my arms. And then whose chest? I'm trying to think of someone who has just a like nutty chest. That's natural because otherwise
I very much like Yannis Kara. Yannis Kara, the Swiss bodybuilder. He has a very good chest, especially from the side. I know that he's focusing a lot on developing his chest now. I think his emphasis now in the offseason is like bigger delts, bigger chest, and bigger adductors, I think it was. But his chest from the side is actually looking pretty good already.
Was he at Worlds, Heavyweight Pro?
Yes.
Cool. I think I had a photo with him, Yeah, he's got a great physique. Then back, who are we going with, and how much of the back are we going with? I'm trying to think back. I just saw Mike Chalice had his update photos to me. His back was looking very good. I'm not saying, I don't think he would be like my pinnacle back. Sorry, Mike. It's a good back. So I wouldn't be disappointed with that back. I don't know who would be.
I mean, there are a couple of good backs out there. I'm always forgetting his name. BNBF bodybuilder, very young guy. Keefe West. What's his name again? Keefe, yeah.
Keefe.
He has
ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's like with his muscularity, you can see that this is what you call density.
Like
when you talk
twitch.
about,
he must be so fast twitch.
It's just like, I don't know how to describe it, but that his muscularity is just a different one than other people have, right? And this is, I think, where people then had back in the days the assumption that power lifters look like this and bodybuilders look more like inflated, and he just looks dense, just like a rock, basically.
And I've forgotten someone's abs I would take. I've actually completely forgotten his name. He's coached by AJ at the moment, young. He was coached by Jeff
Joshua.
Albert. Joshua, yes. I mean, you could take Joshua's whole physique, to be honest, and you could be absolutely fine. But his abs are just like absurd. Like,
why do we even need us for the Power Ranger? We would actually need other people for it. We are actually then slowing it down or so, making it weaker.
I'm not even sure. His arms are my strongest body part, and I'm not sure I actually take him on arms even, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just sick.
And his delts is also pretty fucking
That's
good.
for sure. But that is the elite, right? You can see this. I mean, there's a clear difference then when you take a look at those individuals and just us. Also there, it is what it is. We can't change anything about it. We can either decide to moan about it, brag about it. This is so unfair. This is so unfair. I should also have that much muscle mass. But why? Right? It's just a genetic thing, individual differences. Some are blessed, some aren't. Doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it as much as they do, or maybe even more.
Yeah. And the really cool thing is, I found that with this season, actually, the last season, where we both competed, like, you can still be fully part of the community.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to be a winner. You don't have to be pro to be part of the bodybuilding and natural bodybuilding community. And in fact, they'll probably say it themselves, like, you don't get anything for being like a natural pro or winning. Like, I won a show. It felt amazing in the moment, but like, it doesn't change me fundamentally as a person and the value that I can provide to the industry. And the same with yourself. Like, you competed and I'm sure that was great, but it didn't really change you as an individual and the value and being part of the community. I think that's a really nice thing, actually.
Yeah. I mean, let's be real here. BBC is not going to make kind of a documentation about you, like natural bodybuilder in the 2022s. Back then, 40 years ago, Steve Hall was actually stepping on the world stage. No one is actually caring about that. And no, you're not going to make history. You're not going to change anything. And even if you're known in the natural bodybuilding scene, you can be proud of yourself, but at the same time, like in 10 years, 20 years, people have forgotten about you anyway. Like, make the most out of the situation, have fun, enjoy the ride, and have a good time. Instead of being bitter and kind of, I don't know, like that old grudgy person who's sitting I don't know, in front of hhis house, and everyone who's passing by, you're just like shouting at them. Like, it doesn't make sense.
I hope we can actually, like, for people to remember us, I think it would be more through our educational content, like the podcast. Like, maybe that podcast, like, it will be remembered. Like, there will be episodes that are like, wow, like some of those roundtables we did back in the day with Menno, Eric, and Mike. Like, some of those, they're a good number of views, and I think they had a nice, solid impact on the industry as a whole. And I think we furthered a lot of the natural bodybuilding scene and just people who are interested in bettering themselves in that way. So that, at least I feel like, yeah, we've had a solid impact there. I'm never going to be like that natural bodybuilder where people look back and be like, oh, Steve was a great natural bodybuilder. No, I was fucking average. And I did all right. I did very well, with what I had in my hands, but no one's going to remember like me for that. Like, there's very few natural bodybuilders like who are like in the Hall of Fame, and really it's only our little niche that remembers any of them anyway. Let alone, like, no one, Jen, Pop, no, like even Charlotte and Katie, it's not like they know any of the best natural bodybuilders, but they probably know Arnold, they probably know Ronnie. That's maybe it.
Yeah. I doubt that she even knows Ronnie.
Oh, really?
I think the people just know Arnold, and that's basically all they know. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, to them, probably every bodybuilder looks the same anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And Arnold really is known only, like, he's known as a bodybuilder, but if he didn't go and do everything else that he's done, he wouldn't be known the way he's known.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, take that for what it is, but don't be upset if you're not one of these like standout characters, because you can still well enjoy the game without being in that position. So now, even how we got to this chat, it was, I don't know where we were talking about something, but I'm now going to ask, you talked about next week how you're approaching training. Didn't actually do nutrition and then also work.
Yeah, I was thinking about nutrition quite a lot. No, not a lot. That is, I don't know, far stretch, yeah. I was thinking about it because I was like, all right, we have all-inclusive there. Breakfast, dinner time, lunchtime. There are supermarkets around. We don't have a fridge, though. It's kind of a hotel room. If there is a fridge, maybe it's kind of a mini-bar fridge. Sure. So how would I address it? Because I think I've never been in a situation like this where I was kind of in a cut-off environment where there maybe only, or where there's only like a small supermarket. I don't know if you've ever been like on holiday on an island, such as, I think it's, what is it called? Seychelles?
Yeah.
Yep. Wasn't sure how it's pronounced or what it's called in English. But there, I think that you can't even find a proper supermarket.
Oh, really?
Or there are at least kind of a couple of smaller islands where that is the case. And I've never been in a situation like this. So what I'm probably going to do is just like accept it, be mindful about the food choices that I'm making, be like an adult, eat like an adult. And I mean, I'm active the entire day. So chances are I'm not gaining fat or so. I will make some mindful decisions around like protein choices. The thing is, you should have knowledge enough to go in there and pick and choose things that may still fit your diet, right? Like, even if it's just a buffet, you have like options in front of you. So what is it that you can do? You take one plate and fill up that plate. You're not going back and forth again, filling up like, I don't know, refilling it with 3 times and only go for the fattiest and greasiest option. You go there, you pick a decent amount of vegetables, some starchy carbohydrate source, and a protein source. Easy, right? A reasonable portion. You are an adult. Treat yourself like one. Take action, but also responsibility here. And that's why I'm going in there, making some mindful decisions, and also taking a look at the meals that I'm being served. So when there is a buffet, I can take a look and see whether it's dripping in oil or not. And hence, I can make some very reasonable decisions still. Even if I don't have full control over my environment, I can make use of certain strategies. And I can also make use of my eyes and my, just like taking advantage of the brain, honestly.
Your years of experience tracking.
Yeah. And that's why I'm not concerned at all. No, not concerned at all, to be honest. And that's why I also don't want to overthink it, because it's just like going in there, take it as it comes, make some mindful decisions, and act like an adult. Instead of being like, oh, there's so much lovely food here, I'm just going to eat whatever, and I couldn't control myself. Someone forced me to do that. There was this voice in the back of my head. No, you are an adult. The difference between an adult and a kid is that you can actually then say no to those things and don't just act on your emotions. And that's basically what I'm then going to end up doing in an instance like this.
Will you be taking protein powder and any protein bars?
And that is something that I would have wanted to add to it. I already prepared myself, bought some protein bars. I will take those with me. I will take some
ones?
Just different ones.
Okay.
I can't even recall. It's a longer time ago that I've already kind of purchased them for the trip. So I take those with me. I take Whey Shake with me as well. Take my supplements with me as well. Kind of just be prepared. There is to be honest, now, if you are doing kind of a holiday in a Western civilized country or so, there is no reason not to still be able to hit the macros or stick to your diet. There isn't.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
And if you know that you will have a hard time there, don't take this as an excuse. Don't say like, but I didn't have anything else to go off by. Didn't you know that up front? I mean, come on. Also there, turn on your head a little bit more, the brain, and think about it and be prepared. It's better to be safe than sorry. Take some protein bars with you. If you don't end up eating them, who cares? Then you take them with you home again. And if you need them, hey, you got something. What do you think about everything that I said, Steve?
Fucking terrible advice.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's very much along the lines that I'd be going as well. I literally, what you said there, I was like, if everything you said there, and I was going to be like, if it was me, I'd also be taking protein powder and protein bars. And then you're like, I'm also taking protein bars and protein powder, because like you can have that then like a protein bar or two in your pocket on the slopes in case you get hungry, and you can avoid eating just, I don't know, some random junk that's available, or just feeling terrible and then stuffing yourself when you get down at the bottom of the slope because it's like, I'm so hungry and I feel terrible. So it's really good to have those. And then like, just because leaner protein sources are harder to come by when you're on holiday quite often. And so it's nice to have just like a whey protein shake. So it's like, I don't have to eat like this, I don't know, chicken thigh and whatever to get a load of protein. I can just have a shake when I get back to my room.
Yeah. And there's so many things where I'm just like, it's so easy to do those things. It just requires a little bit of thinking and a little bit of preparedness. So for example, taking a Whey Shake with you. I mean, you don't have to take the 5 kilograms with you. but that's, so, Steve, you're laughing, right? But sometimes I have the feeling that people think that this is what they have to do, at least when you listen to their excuses. Where I'm like, come on.
Put it in a little Tupperware.
Yeah, did you really need me to write things down? Super detailed what it is that you need to do? Just think about it. You have a scoop in there, take a small Tupperware or even just like a plastic bag and put in a couple of scoops. How many scoops? Just think about it. How often are you going to eat or drink a Whey Shake? Right? Let's say you are staying there for 10 days. So maybe you're putting like 20 scoops in there if you need, like for each and every single day, and have some backups as well. If in the case that you don't have a lot of protein sources there, you can actually then have like 2 Whey Shakes on a daily basis. And if you're not going to use that, you can still take it with you home. You don't have to get rid of it on during holiday. All right? Then same story goes for other things there as well. If you're going into a restaurant, yes, it can be that this is the only time that you are eating in that restaurant. But will it be the only time in your entire life that you can have a steak or so? No, right? You can still make some rational and good choices there that doesn't sacrifice quality in life, but also doesn't mean that you just like shut off everything and go into YOLO mode and then wonder why you're gaining a lot of weight or why you aren't on track and making the progress that you would like to. And even if it requires at times doing things that aren't really as cool or tasty or so. So let's just say, so for example, I would be absolutely willing to go to that supermarket and just buy a can of tuna and eat that tuna. Honestly, if that is what it requires, then do this. This is, you're not breaking a leg with doing something like that. It may sound awful, but is it really a big deal? Does it really require you to climb the Mount Everest to get your protein? No. You're probably just going down the street 10 minutes, and then you're chucking down like a can of tuna. Not the most delicious thing in the world, but hey, maybe this is the compromise so that you can enjoy a dinner like later on and be a little bit more flexible about it. So there are so many ways on going about it, and I sometimes have the feeling like it's an either-or situation for many, of like a kind of a YOLO and FOMO at the same time. They think that this is the last time that they, or at least they act like this is the last time that they will ever have something to eat, and that's why they just completely throw everything else overboard. All of the good habits, all of the good ideas, and I don't know, the goals that they set for themselves. And it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah, you just have to sometimes think a little bit more, like you said. Even like going to a lot of these stores, you can buy like, I've before bought on holiday just like a tomato and a pepper and then eaten those. Because it just keeps me satiated and avoids me snacking on things I don't need to, and get some fruit and veg in rather than like buying it from the restaurant that's coated in butter or whatever and it's just hard. So yeah, and that doesn't add any stress to me, and it's fine. Like I'm just like, it's like buying an apple from a store. Like you could go buy an apple.
Or take it even further, Steve. So with the apple, also very good example, right? Or you're going into that restaurant. Why can't you have as a starter a smaller salad that fills you up already a little bit, so that you're not ending up overeating when the main dish comes? Right? I mean, there's a small pause now because it is just that simple. But people don't want this. That's often the problem.
But then they also don't want the aftermath, which is taking them away from their goals. So it's just like, I love the saying, for every gimme, there's a gotcha. Like, if you want to move towards your goals, maybe the gotcha is the fact you don't overindulge. But if you overindulge, you move further away from your goals. So it's just a case of, okay, you might choose to have less than an 80-20, like wholesome, good nutritional food and 20% like processed junk or whatever. And you might go 50-50 on holiday. But then when you come home, maybe you have a couple of weeks of 100% just on it with your diet, whatever. Just you stay a bit tighter. It's just like, in the end, if you want to move towards your goals, you have to, there's got to be a gimme somewhere and a gotcha somewhere else.
Totally. And the thing is, when we are now going all the way back to the client that I brought up as an example, the smaller female, she just probably has to accept that she can't live like, for example, you could. You could probably go out and eat very, very flexibly, and also not as mindfully as other people, because you have such a large caloric requirements for the day, right? And before you are gaining fat, you would rather than see that the scale would be coming down. But because of that, you could even go out, have dinner that is more greasy, that is higher in calories. You could have the dessert and probably even have like an alcoholic beverage as well, and still not gain any kind of weight. Whereas that smaller individual, if she were to do the same things such as you and eat the same portion sizes such as you, she would be in a surplus that is far exceeding her maintenance. She would be in a 2,000 caloric surplus then. And also there, sometimes you can't simply do what other people are doing, and you can't really orientate yourself at what other people are doing and how they are going about their daily basis and how they are treating like social occasions and stuff like that. And also there, you have to realize or have to remind yourself of what it is that you want. Do you want to have a very, very, very balanced life? Then you need to do certain things. Do you want to be very lean, but still go out at times? Sure thing, you can still do that, but it probably also there requires you to have a little bit more of a mindful approach than possibly other people. And it's like you said, for every gimme, there's a gotcha, and everything comes with trade-offs. And for some people, there are more trade-offs than for others, and for some people, they have to be more mindful about what it is that they are doing than others, because the consequences would be more severe for them than for others as well.
Hi guys, Steve here. Just wanted to take a moment of your time to remind you of the Revive Stronger member site. Inside, you'll find a thriving forum, a growing exercise library, presentations, research reviews, and courses. If you want to get involved, sign up via the description.
It's really well said. I think you could probably do an entire podcast on like the subject of like portion sizes and like especially like smaller individuals basing their portion sizes off like if I order a main meal and she orders or the smaller individual orders a main meal, the same thing, we're both getting the same size, but it doesn't mean that that's appropriate in both occasions.
No.
So, and it's fine if they then left some of their food, but I probably shouldn't in that situation. Like you said, it's you have to think about yourself as an individual and what your needs and requirements are a little bit, and stay mindful and not just like switch off. I think that's the key.
Either you then have to come to terms with, okay, if you want to live like, I don't know, let's say you have a husband who's eating such as the caloric amount such as you, Steve, right? And he has no idea about tracking and nutrition and all that kind of stuff. And you are that small female individual who's tracking and who's very mindful about certain things. Of course, to that husband, it could seem as if you're overly obsessed about tracking things and kind of neurotic to some extent. But this is what is necessary for you to not blow up, right? Whereas for him, it's very hard to understand because he can just go out and eat whatever he wants without suffering the consequences. And I find it then unfair from others who are in a more privileged position just from a nutritional standpoint to then maybe give other people a hard time about it. You should hopefully receive the support that you're looking for from your environment, and also understanding, especially when it comes to that, you basically want to do something good for yourself in terms of then the body composition. You don't want to blow up. You want to feel confident in your skin. And if that means that you have to do certain things in order to stay like that, then let's try to find a way where you still can have a reasonable amount of balance that is appropriate for the person you are and the requirements you have as well in terms of calories and also overall activity levels.
I think the only final point I would make on this, when you switch like calories with money and you talk about the person who's like well off and rich and has plenty to spend versus the person who's on a tight budget and they have to be careful. As soon as you switch into those terms, people will just suddenly understand it and they respect that person who doesn't have as much discretionary income.
Totally.
And they have to be careful about how they spend it. And then you could just apply that to calories and it's like, gotcha.
No, that is very, very well put, and also a very great example to bring up, to be honest. There was something else where that was kind of the same example, but I can't really recall what it was. And that's all right. I think that we've covered it well enough. So very much to just summarize it, I really won't think about it that much. I will make some mindful decisions. I will use my brain, act like an adult, and do whatever kind of it takes. I know it sounds kind of hardcore, but that's not what I try to say. It's more like, if I need to consume like 2 or 3 whey shakes throughout the day to make it happen, to actually hit my protein target, or to at least be in a reasonable range of my protein target, then that's what I'm going to do.
Sure. Cool. Awesome. Maybe we're touch on your work in the next episode, because I know we need to record another one, unless we're.
I think we are already recording the next one because we are already 1 hour and 10 minutes in, and I think we shouldn't really exceed it to like. I don't know. I only have like half an hour left anyway, so.
I forgot we had that initial. That's why I was like slowly closing off the conversation, because I was like, we need to record the next episode now.
So yeah, no, we are already in the second episode now.
Okay. Well, anyway, that was kind of, I guess, a closing point to that discussion surrounding food whilst you're away. But in terms of then work, I would be interested to hear what you're doing this time and how that has been different to other times potentially as well. Because
I think in the last year, in the summertime, I think when I came back from the holiday that we had at the Baltic Sea, I think that I told you that this is or was the first time that I was able to really shut off and leave work at home and not regularly check the emails, not being there on my phone the entire time. And that is how I'm going to handle things here as well. I've prepared my clients for that, for the time there. And to be honest, when it comes to training and nutrition, there's nothing that is that urgent that needs immediate attention, unless someone is getting severely injured or so. But in a case like this, I'm still available. But I also then prepare my athletes to know that I may be first coming back or getting back to them by the end of the day once I'm back at the hotel room, because there will be a time where I'm checking my phone and also then the emails. But I think that the current situation, as awful as it sounds, it really puts things in perspective. So the current situation, I'm referring to what is going on in the world right now, because it is basically the proof of what it is that I've always said over the past couple of episodes, that we are privileged in doing and taking care of our training and nutrition. And even though that there has been kind of war going on in different places on Earth, it has never been as real for Western society as it has been, or never, I would say, is far-fetched here. That's not entirely true, but it has been a long, long time ago that it was such a real thing for Western society. At least our generation has never really dealt with that kind of thing as well. And that's why I think that the situation right now is a kind of reminder for us how privileged we really are. Because there are people right now who from one day to the next needed to leave everything behind, and the men need to stay in the country to fight for the country, and the women and kids need to leave. Right? How fucking terrible and awful is that? Everything changed for them, right? And we are here still being able to go into the gym, still being able to eat whenever we want to, or whenever we decide to not eat. And that is then also then applying to something like work. Nothing is that bad that it needs immediate attention, unless it's something like, once again, a severe sickness, severe injury or so. But even then, it probably doesn't need a call like in the second that you're getting injured. It doesn't need to be addressed then in that moment. If it then is being addressed by the end of the day or so, totally all right. And I'm always there for my athletes in situations like this, even when I'm on holiday. But everything else can most of the time wait.
The only other thing I was thinking was also at this time of the year, it's not like you have any competitors stepping on stage.
Yeah, exactly.
In the next weeks. So it's like,
yeah,
that's also not happening. And I agree. There's no what's it called? I can't think what the word is. Emergencies in like nutrition and training. Like it's like, oh, you went over your calories. You don't need to email me immediately about that. Like we have protocols in place how you can manage that.
And if I had a competitor, then I would still be there for them and support them and guide them through it, right? Then this is something that where I would need to suck things up and just be there for them. But in the grand scheme of things, then it's still like a minor thing that then needs attention. This is just like the price you have to pay when you're self-employed and when you're running a business, that it can be that there are certain things that need immediate attention. But even then, right, if they are not stepping on the stage at that given time, things can also probably wait until the end of the day, unless they binge their face off and they can't stop and they are just like continuing to binge up until the point where they are actually having a chat with you. So
Yeah, it's interesting to me because we've been doing, well, particularly like I started online coaching in 2014. I'm not sure when you started taking anyone on, but we've been doing this for such a long time now. And it actually is a really long time. Like for a while, it felt like we were quite new to it. And now it's feeling like, oh, actually, we're some of the longest standing people who have been working with people online. And now I see so many people obviously are getting into the industry now and like up and coming online coaches. And they're like, oh, like, how do I take holiday and stuff like this? And it's where we were like 3 years ago, where now it seems so stupid to even think that you'd have to go on holiday and continue to do your client check-ins. Like, why would you ever need to do that? I did it so many times and it was just completely pointless because, I mean, I can't even do a client check-in properly now on holiday. Like I really need to be on my home setup to do one effectively. And I kind of transitioned to taking my laptop with me and working and doing client check-ins in the morning. And then I moved to doing email check-ins. And now we've got to a point, and I'm there with you, where we're allowed to take holiday. In fact, we have contracts in place when clients sign up, like you should. And I didn't have contracts for a while, but we've had contracts in place ever since Pascal joined, because he's much better about thinking about these sort of things than I am. And like, we have statutory holiday that we can take. Not that I think I took 15 days off last year or something, which is not close to what the normal amount is. And I'm sure most, like, you skip a lot of holidays when you're self-employed. It just happens. Like, we don't look at bank holidays and think, oh yeah, that's a day off. We look at it and we're like, oh shit, I didn't realize that was coming. Has my partner got a day off? Oh, they have, or they haven't, or like I'll manage it around them. But I think for at least a lot of people listening, there'll also be online coaches, maybe a lot of them newer, and I think it's good for them to, like, you also can take your holidays off completely. But at the same time, at least earlier when we were doing it, it's not like I had a full client roster. I had maybe like 10 to 15 clients. So it's way more manageable through the week versus where we are now. Even 10 to 15 is a bit of more of a stress than you need whilst you're on holiday. You just want to take off. But I'm glad we're in that position where it's like, yeah, we can actually, and I don't know if you still, because you recently messaged your clients about it, I guess. And a lot of them like, good, enjoy yourself.
Yeah. No,
like,
absolutely.
It's good to see you taking a break.
Yeah. And the thing is, absolutely true, everything that you said there. And I do remember that there was a time where both you and we may have like taking 1 week off throughout the entire year. And that was during the Christmas time when everyone was busy with their families anyway to begin with. And they didn't want to check in to begin with. But then there comes the time where you realize that first and foremost, it's unnecessary to do this. And secondarily, if you continue to do this for too long, like never taking a break, the break will come. And it's the same thing when it comes to deloads. The saying of like, when you never take a deload, or the body will deload for you, right? And that's the same saying here as well. If you're not careful, burnout can be a real issue. Like, honestly, especially when you're self-employed, because there's always a tendency of just hustling. And this is kind of a problem nowadays due to hustle culture, that fitness entrepreneurs or just influencers in general, they say and promote kind of an unhealthy relationship with work. Of like, you always have to hustle in order to make it. And if you don't, you will never actually then have like a 6-figure thing. And this is the thing that you always need to strive for. Right? The hustle culture is, I very rarely use that word because I don't find it appropriate in many, many instances. But when it's coming to hustle culture, it can be quite toxic for a lot of people because it sets some wrong expectations. It plants some ideas and thoughts into your head that are inappropriate, to be honest. And it causes you to be constantly chasing something that is barely attainable and achievable for you, and especially not sustainable over the long term. And if you never really take a break, at some point, you will burn out and you will lose the passion, the love for what it is that you're doing, because it will just become a burden on you. It will drain you, especially when you are dealing with, of course, individuals who share their problems, their issues with you as well. It is quite draining, right? When they are sharing those things, those negative thoughts. You are, of course, the catalyst who sucks it up. But if you never really kind of offload those things at some point, it will drag you down and it will weigh on you like a 10-ton hammer or so. And at some point, you won't be able to get up again. And then what is it that you're then doing? You will probably seek for a different occupation or a different industry because it kind of sucked all of the life out of you.
I can't even imagine someone like Harry, for example, Harry Smith, our coach. He works one-on-one and has like a busy roster there. And I never got to the point where I was like fully fledged one-on-one and had a lot of clients. I only had like a couple to like, I think I had 3 on like 3 a week or something. Or maybe some of them are double sessions, but still, particularly like one-on-one when you're talking to someone and you're like having those, like taking in their emotions and things. It's a little easier online because it's like you can watch it at your own discretion and like pause it, take notes, whatever. You're not like having to respond to them immediately, so you can kind of digest it and go through it. But you're right, it can be highly emotional, especially particularly around competitors, I would say, like taking that all in and how they're feeling, and because you kind of want to be there with them. But also you need some of that like empathy to go towards like your family and loved ones. And if you kind of spend it all on your clients and you've got nothing to like give the rest of the world, it doesn't make for a good individual really. So yeah, absolutely. I agree. There's a time and a place for like hustle and like working, but it's the same with like the old school bodybuilders just being like, just work hard, work harder. And they don't ever talk about the fact that, I don't know, you need to maybe pull back, and maybe that's a smarter approach, and you can work hard and then also have like, what's the saying? Play hard, work hard, play hard or something. Work hard, play harder or something, something along those lines. But you've got to have some sort of balance. Exactly.
And I think those are the ones who also stay for the long term. Those individuals who then also their word, right? Balance is such, what does it even mean?
Yeah.
Balance is always kind of, or has always a different meaning to all the other individuals. But kind of a balanced approach, if we just want to throw out a generic term now. You have to find balance in order to stay in the industry for long. And I think it's very, very important. And also then it's the responsibility of the athletes or the clients to acknowledge that. Do you want to have a burned out coach who doesn't even know what he's doing anymore because he's massively sleep deprived, super stressed all the time? He probably can't give you the quality of a service that he promised. Or do you want to have that individual who's very well rested, who is actually refreshed, recovered, coming back from holiday, and is ready then for the next 6 months to deliver a high quality service? It's in your best interest to then give them also kind of a little bit of leeway and the room to breathe in order then to be there again for you.
And I would say that responsibility actually should always come from the coach. Like we outline like they can expect that we're going to take holiday. And so there should be no question of, and we don't get that from our clients, but I could see if someone might have that. And particularly, I just think it's, again, for those newer coaches maybe coming into the industry and they want to avoid this kind of burnout syndrome that you're kind of talking about, like just make it clear that you have like a number of days of holiday that your clients can expect that you won't be checking in with them. And reasonable individuals, which absolutely the majority of people are just going to be like, cool, that makes absolute sense. Because I have had clients who are like, oh, it's a bank holiday, are you still checking in? And I'm like, yep, I'm still checking in. I'm like, man, maybe I shouldn't have taken, maybe I should have taken today off and spent that time with Charlotte. It's something I'm really, really bad at, particularly like bank holidays and stuff. I fucking ignore them.
Yeah, me too.
When we were first coming up, it's just a case of work as much as possible to build us to a point. But now it's like Charlotte gets really actually frustrated with me that I don't recognize them because she gets them off because she works a normal job that she gets them off. So now I'm trying to be better at recognizing them so I can be like, okay, I need to kind of tell my clients a week in advance, at least a week, that I'm like, they won't ever check. I can't check in this week and say there's no check in next week. It needs to be like a week ahead of that.
Yeah, in the entire time frame, ever since I'm a coach, I haven't taken any time off on bank holidays and stuff. So I should be better.
I just don't even look at them as like, I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But also because my mentality around those kind of days in general is like, whatever, right? Something like, I don't know, I know that it's not like a bank holiday or so, but let's say something like a Valentine's Day. I don't give a fuck about Valentine's Day. If media wouldn't remind me about that Valentine's Day is coming up, then I'm just like, oh, right, I wouldn't even notice. But on those occasions, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you can always then kind of spin it around or turn it around, and if someone were to complain about it, like, you can always confront them of, would you expect to work now the entire year without ever taking holidays and never really having any kind of bank holidays? And everyone would be like, no, hell no, I want my holidays. Right? And that's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Pascal here. I just quickly wanted to remind you of our online coaching service. At Revive Stronger, we put a huge emphasis on the personal aspect of our coaching. And if you want to take your physique and knowledge to the next level, hit the link in the description below.
I think it's maybe because some people popularize this job as being like, oh, you can be sipping pina coladas on the beach or other thing. But to be honest, it's just like a normal 9-to-5 job from home, apart from I can be a bit more flexible with my hours. So I can train in the day, but then I have to work later in the evening. Yeah. Like there's nothing... Like, I can't just tomorrow decide, oh, I'm just going to take tomorrow off and I'm going to go adventure like London. No, I have like 10 client check-ins I need to get to tomorrow. Like, I can't just leave them in the lurch. Like and so I think some people, possibly a small number of people, don't necessarily respect it as like a full-on job. But especially like I've found like having a desktop, which wouldn't be suitable for that sort of very mobile job, like helps me so much fundamentally with the stuff I'm doing, like producing the podcast massively, but also just client check-ins, like having a bigger screen, be able to sit here, having like a decent setup so people can hear me clearly with the microphone. I don't know if you ever have client check-ins and I'm like, what the fuck did they even say? Their microphone is so bad. So like, I want them to know, like, this is like quality, you're like, and everything. You can't, I don't know. Like, I think people just don't respect it necessarily as a full normal job. There was something,
Maybe it's also because it's such a new field as well.
Yes.
I still get it when people are asking me of what I'm doing, that I say that I'm an online coach. I never really say online personal trainer anymore, because then people are even more confused, because then they think like,
you watch people.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually then recording myself or following their workout live and stuff like that. That's why I'm saying I'm an online coach most of the time. And even then, they have no idea what this may look like. That's why possibly it is hard for them to understand, and especially because you're kind of sitting in front of a camera and chatting, and many people then don't really understand what goes into that, because you're not in an office setting, you don't hear telephones in the background like in a call center or so, other people being around you. No, it's like, hey, you're here with me in my office right now. And people, I think, tend to forget that, and they are watching it at home, like just entertainment. When they are sitting on the couch, they are listening to your check-in maybe, and it feels as if you are then there in their, I don't know, living room, and just chilling with them, talking to them, giving them kind of instructions for the next week. Whereas it's like you said, it's kind of a proper job, like kind of just like a normal regular job. And you would also not expect that the plumber is actually getting to your door on a bank holiday. And if you do, if you really need him, normally you're paying a shit ton of additional money. Have you ever locked yourself out on a Sunday, Steve? I'm quite sure that you have, because you're locking yourself out quite often.
I'm glad I've now got a solution to that, but no, not on a Sunday. I haven't done it
because that is expensive as hell.
Oh, really?
Expensive as hell. It's crazy. They're making bang on days like these.
I have a tangent, but I think it will be an interesting one, because you mentioned about not giving a shit about like Valentine's and like these days. It's kind of like setting New Year's resolutions or whatever. And I am very much in that mindset as well. So like when Pancake Day, I don't know if you knew it was Pancake Day yesterday. It was. I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, I literally, I feel terrible because Charlotte really cares about these things. She's like, but it's pancake. I'm like, we can have pancakes tomorrow. Like, we can set up for it because I had a podcast late with Mike and I was like, I just want to eat now. She was like, oh, but it's like, we're going to do pancakes. We had pancakes, but because I'm doing it for her because I don't care. But it's like Valentine's. I also don't care, but I know she cares. So I just still buy flowers and things and it's a good reminder sometimes. I'm like, I don't often buy Charlotte flowers. It's good to make sure that I do that now and then. But do you have that with Katie at all? Does she care about some of these things that you don't care about, or is she exactly the same?
It's actually quite a relief because Katie and I are very, very similar in many, many ways, where there are things that society values highly. We both are often like, we don't care, or why do people value that even highly? And that is something that makes things quite easy in many, many regards, honestly. So no, we don't have things like these, luckily.
Charlotte might listen to this, but I very much doubt it. I would say she's a little bit of a hypocrite because when some things in life she highly values. So like not highly values. That's a bit of an over dramatization. Like she doesn't really care about Valentine's, to be fair. But like pancakes. She wanted to have pancakes on Pancake Day, like whatever. And like Christmas is like quite a big deal. Like she loves.
Says anything like about your relationship with another
pancake? Yeah. What was I going to say? But like we see very much eye to eye on like marriage, for example. I don't know how you feel about marriage, but both of us are just like, like you and Katie, you're basically fucking husband and wife.
Yeah.
But you're not in legal terms. And the same with me and Charlotte. And it's like, do we feel the need to have like a massive wedding and be married and put it on pen and paper? Not really. But some people hold really strongly to those sort of things.
The only reason why we are getting married at some point, and this sounds weird, but these are so two main reasons. Is the first one, and this is the most important one to both Katie and I, is that the kids see this as a symbol that I am part of the family, that everyone has the same last name. And that's super important to us, that the kids see that, right? That it's not like Katie, Hugo, and Tony Komiske, and I'm like Pascal Flor, hey? But I'm Pascal Flor Komiske, right? So that there is kind of that symbol behind it, that we are a family. And the second one is kind of due to tax things or tax reasons. I knew there
was going to be some legal thing.
So, yeah, I mean, these are the only reasons because it's like I said, we are already husband and wife. Whenever I'm talking about Katie, I say that it's my wife. I don't need a legal statement that says like, okay, you are officially now husband and wife. For me, we are a husband and wife. It is then just like from an official standpoint, from a bureaucratic standpoint, that we then also receive some kind of other benefits on top of it, and also acting as a symbol for then our kids that we are a family. That's basically why we are getting married at some point.
Does Katie is she like one of those women that want like a big wedding and it's important to have that, or no, she's okay?
We already know kind of what wedding we want. So she has a big group of friends and a big family. I don't. So if we were to split it up like a typical movie scene, right? You're just in church. One side is the family and the friends of the husband, and on the other side is the woman. You can imagine it to be like this. On my side, there's maybe like 1 or 2 people, and on the other side is like 30, 50 people or so. But no, it would be like more of a conservative in the sense of like down to earth wedding outside under, I don't know what the name is on English, but there's a tree, so it's often at a lake or so, or at the water side. It's a tree that is hanging above the water and then coming down and has like the trenches into
like a willow.
Is it called that? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
It could be. It's on German. It's Trauerweide. So it could really be that. Lovely. And she wants to get married underneath a Trauerweide. And that's basically what it is that we are aiming for at some point. What is it for you, Steve? I know that this is now turning into not really a fitness podcast, but...
yeah, I guess for me, neither of us are like big on having a massive wedding. And I always had that slight actual anxiety with anyone I married, but when considering Charlotte, we're a little bit similar to you, maybe not quite as extreme, but I have a small friendship group as well. And Charlotte has quite a big friendship group versus what I do. So I was always like, had a bit of anxiety surrounding, like, if we did have a wedding, I'd have like fuck all people there. And I'm not just inviting people for the sake of inviting people.
Exactly. That's my saying as well. So Katie was like, but you have good friends. I had mostly good friends. There was like it is a long time ago that I was really in touch with them. And I don't just want to send them kind of an invitation of like, hey, it's my wedding. I expect you there. By the way, we haven't talked in like 10 years, but I want you to be there because it's important to me. Like, come on.
So I think, yeah, at the moment, we haven't even discussed what we're going to do, but it's probably going to be something very similar to like you said. And I think it makes, I know it's, some people will probably disagree with this, and I'm sure they will, and they're fine with that. But it's a lot of money to put toward, like, you say wedding party, and suddenly they increase the price by like 50%. And I'm just like, all that money could go towards like a sick holiday, or for you, like an education for your children, or whatever it is. Like, it could go towards something so much, like in my eyes, more tangible and valuable than like a single day. And especially if you're then like paying, I don't know, for food and drinks for people who you're like kind of friends with, it just seems a bit like, I'm not sure. Anyway, maybe we should get back to fitness.
Absolutely. I think we can call it a day now because we are up to like 1 hour and 30 minutes now. And then we can split it up into 2 45-minute episodes. I know, guys, we went off on a little bit of a tangent here at times. I think it was appropriate due to like recording for like 1.5 hours. I think staying focused on the fitness topic is a little bit hard then. We didn't really get to then talking about a specific muscle group this time. We will do that though. Once I return from holiday, then we are going back onto the train of like talking all about a specific muscle group and how to train it best. For now, I hope that you guys still enjoyed the episode or the 2 episodes. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for always tuning in, sharing the love, giving us the love, and by the way, share it always over on Instagram. That is highly appreciated. Tag us then. Make sure to tag us. Always love it to see when I can see that people are supporting us here. And other than that, we should know something. And guys, I guess I'll speak to you guys very soon. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. So I'm Steve Hall, founder of Revive Stronger and a coach of Revive Stronger.
My name is Pascal Steve. I'm the co-owner of Revive Stronger and also a coach, of course.
Revive Stronger has probably been going solidly for 3 years, roughly about 3 years.
Revive Stronger, to me, it is becoming kind of my child, my foster child. It's the gathering and getting together of like-minded people.
We've been expanding the coaching team, which is helping us help more people, but each coach can only help a certain number of people.
Right now, it's all over the place. We have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, but there isn't that community aspect behind that.
And so the next step for us is developing a membership site.
So basically, we want to create a family and a community that is then benefiting from another.
A really cool community for people within our little niche is going to be a website.
They will get early access to our podcast.
You can access us, ask us questions.
The community aspect, we have a forum there. You can ask questions, but also you can log your journey.
There's also going to be courses on there.
Courses, presentations on different topics. Discount of past seminar footage. We will log our journey as well. We'll start vlogging.
We're going to have documentaries.
Our entire athletic journey. Furthermore, they get access to an exercise video library.
The exercises that we love for hypertrophy and maximizing hypertrophy, we're going to go through those in depth, telling you how to execute them.
We kept them concise and also mobile friendly so that you can watch them in between your sets.
I'm super excited to grow this community. The amount of value that we're going to be delivering is huge. And I'd love you to be part of it.
You will get so much out of that.
I'll see you inside.